The ocean is calm this morning. The air is still. A cold, damp fog slowly rolls in over the coast of the eastern shore. Inch by inch, the sun rises over the highlands. The dew on the morning grass twinkles in the daybreak. This is Holdfast. On the edge of the southern trail, near the water circle, Brand Marshal of the Knights, Degran Brightforge, casts a line into the waters. Waiting for a bite, he contemplates the stillness of the morning, and the stillness of Holdfast for that matter. Things have been quiet since the citizens managed to close the surrounding rifts last fall. Though a little forlorn and longing for action, he decides he best not complain. The leave has done his men well, after all. The knights have been able to heal, and have completed some much-needed training. They're stronger than ever. Furthermore, an unexpected business venture in Applevale has granted the Order new equipment, armour, and magic items. But still, the absence of the hellbeasts and overgrown varmint has him eager for conflict. He gathers his catch and heads back to the camp to start breakfast. Waiting for him at the fire pit is his longtime friend and companion in battle, Knights Major Oren Warfield. The two have much to discuss. The endeavour in Applevale brought not only new gear and shiny trinkets, but enough money to begin construction of a new stronghold, a base for the Knights and the Brigade to organise themselves against their enemies, if any were to return. A heated debate over land and costs leave the men so distracted they barely notice Arden Gallagher passing by on the southern trail. Like every morning, Arden is headed to the Earth Circle to begin his daily ritual. He kneels at the well of magical energy and tries to focus on his prayers to Lord Earth and the ancestors. But he is distracted, his chest heavy with worry. The events of the last few months, as well as his quest with Tala, have proven the silence that has befallen Holdfast may not last much longer. He tries to push the thought to the back of his mind for now. He has work to do. He promised Malva he'd accompany her in some flower picking and ore gathering. After cluing up his meditations, he hikes the trails into the mountains to meet her. Together, Arden and Malva scavenge the thick brush for nightshade and black oak, ingredients for her many potions. As they advance further, they happen upon Hugo, who has spent the night on watch at Fairchild Grove. He finishes scribbling something on a scrap of paper and bids the duo a quick good morning before abruptly packing his things and heading back into town. He's not in the mood for small talk. They decide not to pry and continue their search. Hugo follows the pathways north towards the inn, wondering why he bothered returning again. The town can handle the occasional giant spider or bear attack on their own. Besides, the trial of last August has left a sour taste in his mouth. Degran's refusal to reprimand Datura for his assault, and the town's do-nothing attitude have him questioning the merits on which Holdfast bolsters itself. Perhaps keeping watch over the woods is just a habit at this point. He spent the past 8 months exploring the Confederate lands, studying the philosophies of law and governance amongst the different regions. His observations left him baffled as to why Holdfast has such a hard time with simple regulation. Maybe he returns in hopes of seeing things have changed. In his experience, they never do. Inside the watering hole, he grabs a plate, grumbling unintelligibly to the chef, Hassan. He picks a quiet corner to sit and enjoys his breakfast alone. Not far behind him, Timian enters the inn with a basket of eggs and potatoes under his arm. He sets them on the large table next to Hassan, who hands him a plate of food and instructs him to bring it to the forge. Timian gladly obliges. He takes his time and enjoys the walk from the inn to the forge. Admiring the quiet morning sunrise, he notes how unremarkable Holdfast has become. With the rifts finally closed, the citizens could now live in relative peace. This meant, however, that his work here was done. From what he could tell, the saga of the rifts was over. They hadn't seen a Hellion or Dollface in months. Perhaps it was time for him to prepare for his next journey. With that in mind, he arrives at the forge. There, Big Bun is methodically pumping the bellows, readying the fires for a day's work. He politely thanks Timian for the breakfast, and hastily gobbles down the greasy sausage and eggs. As he eats, he looks over the set of golden scale mail armour sitting next to him. For weeks he'd been endlessly hammering and tempering the steel, obsessing over every last detail and imperfection. The work is tedious, and this has been one of the most difficult sets he has made to date. Although all the blood, sweat and tears will be well worth it when he presents it to its new owner. He imagines a smile growing across her delicate face, light glistening in her beautiful brown eyes. He smiles to himself. The things this gruff old dwarf will do for love. The moment is interrupted. In front of him stands a broad, muscular man. Krond Thuliaga has been patiently waiting for him to return from his daydreams. Big Bun, a little embarrassed, blushes and silently gestures to a pile of newly repaired armour on the other side of his forge. Krond gives him an awkward nod, and leaves him to continue his deep thoughts. Krond carries the armour to the main field and begins to suit up. His recruits will be arriving soon. He oversees the training of the Brigade, a group of hopefuls who seek to protect the town and potentially someday be knighted. Through him, recruits develop their combat skills and toughen their character. Once Krond gives his seal of approval, the recruit may then be invited to take the trials necessary to become a knight. His current two students, Talia and Hare, could not be more different. Talia has proven she has the heart, mind, and ambition required to move forward in her training. And though her combat skills need improvement, she's a fast learner. Moreover, she's a talented alchemist, a skill that would be a great asset to the Order. Herr Finsternis, on the other hand, is much more adept in battle. Proficient with swords and daggers, his skill set would make nothing but a great addition to any battalion. Unfortunately, his unpredictable behaviour makes it hard for anyone to pin down where his loyalties lie. Krond intends to find out. Once suited in armour, he begins to warm up for the day's lesson. He spars with the air, slicing with precision, his blade lustrous in the morning sun. He has absolute command over his weapon. Getting carried away, he lifts the oversized greatsword into the air and slams it into the earth with a tremendous roar. The vibration rolls from the field, up into the hills, levelling out at a small encampment on the outskirts. Inside the makeshift hut, a man grabs a hold of a loose tea set to keep it from shaking off the table. He rolls his eyes and laughs to himself. Though he's new to Holdfast, he's been here long enough to know the source of the tremor. He wonders if it was enough to wake Sylvie. Her tea is just about ready. Marisi pours boiling water into a cup covered in strange, archaic symbols, and scoops in a pile of dried tea leaves. He knows she'll want to do a reading before heading into town. He mulls over the events that led him here. How did he manage to become the babysitter of this strange cairn girl, and in such a boring town no less? While this was not exactly the sort of work he signed up for, Sylvie foresaw his action would be needed. Trusting in her abilities, he begins to sharpen his blade for the 100th time, hopeful that her visions would soon come to fruition. Sylvie enters the room with a sense of urgency. Immediately sitting at the small table, she hurriedly drinks the tea. Deciding it's best to not distract her, Marisi continues to run the whetstone over the steel.
You are wise to do that. You are going to need it,
she says, referring to his polearm while eyeing the tea leaves. Her tone sounds much more serious than usual. She motions for his hand.
It's time. Come with me.